I think really knocking it out of the park is seeing our clients' success. Our success is their success. If they are not succeeding, they are not reaching their goals, whether it's revenue driven or more subjective driven, that it has been a success for us. I think our team rallies around making sure that our attorneys are reaching their goals and making changes.
Hello, and welcome to the Local Leader TV podcast, your source for a behind the scenes look at both established and up and coming businesses in your area. Here's our host, Justin West.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Local Leader TV, where we highlight both the established leaders and new up-and-comers locally to help you find businesses that you can trust to help you with what you need. Today, I'm happy to be joined by Krystal Champlin. She's the owner and CEO of RJH Consulting. Krystal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Justin. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. Well, Krystal owns, and is the CEO, as I said, of RJH Consulting. Their website is rjhconsulting.com. They do offer free consultations. We're going to get into what they do because she really focuses on working with law firms and helping them grow their firms. She has a number you can call as well, which is 225-414-3930. As always, we will put links to all of her information down below in the show notes. So whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on any of the podcast repositories, her information should be down below at the very, very top of the info box for this particular episode. So do feel free to check her out. Before we move forward, though, I'm going to jump over and read from our sponsors. I have two sponsors, as always, at the top of the hour. Our first is nationalerc.org. You may have just noticed that the world went through a pandemic and many businesses were forced to shut down, reduce their hours, had supply chain interruptions, and ultimately suffered from reduced revenue in 2020 and 2021. What you may not know is that Congress recently passed the CARES Act, which allocated $400 billion in stimulus funds for small businesses that never needs to be paid back. This is not a loan like PPP or Paycheck Protection programs. This is free money, essentially, for your business that can be spent right now in whatever way you think makes the most sense for your business. And right now, nationalerc.org is helping small businesses get the maximum amount of money that they can, and you can calculate and see how much you can get back by visiting nationalerc.org. The average small business that they work with gets over $200,000 back to reinvest in their business that, again, never needs to be repaid. The calculator is free, and there's never any fee unless they are successful in securing funding for you. Visit nationalerc.org. Our second sponsor is Groove Pages. If you love spending $5,000 to build a new website that allows you to, sell products to your clients and host webinars, and you love monthly hosting fees of $300 or $400 a month, by all means, keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. But if you're like me, you hate that stuff. And that's why I personally recommend Groove Funnels, the all-new, all-in-one, basically Swiss Army knife platform by internet marketing legend Mike Filsame. You can visit localleader.tv/groove, link in the description down below, to sign up for free and build a complete website at no cost. Really, truly at no cost. No credit card is required. You can build, I believe it's actually up to 3 fully functioning websites at localleader.tv/groove. And you can turn it into a webinar platform, an affiliate platform, a sales platform, or almost anything you can imagine. Again, it's really a Swiss Army knife of a utensil. And again, or of a tool, and there's no credit card required. Visit localleader.tv/groove to learn more. All righty. Well, let's jump back over here. Well, Krystal is the owner, as I said, and CEO of RJH Consulting. And you may notice that those aren't her initials, so we'll learn a little bit more about the firm and how she got involved in a few minutes. It is a law firm consulting company with 25 years of experience helping over 250 law firms. Krystal specializes in providing strategic planning services to law firms, increasing their operational efficiency and profitability through systems and reporting, and developing strong teams through leadership and organizational development. Her expertise in these areas has led her to expand her coaching services to other professional industries as well, including Maverick Consulting Solutions. With certifications in executive coaching, emotional intelligence, DISC training, and Sigma 6 Lean, Krystal uses her experience and knowledge to help her clients achieve their goals and take their organizations to the next level. Krystal's often sought after for her expert opinions on business and leadership topics and is quoted in several legal industry articles. She serves as an advisor to a legal tech company and volunteers for her local SCORE chapter. Her coaching services cover a range of areas, including employee engagement, leadership development, conflict resolution, and career success, amongst others. So question number one I've got for you, Krystal, is what did I miss?
Well, you make me sound like an expert, so I appreciate that. One of the things that we do specialize in is a lot of leadership development. So that's when you're thinking of building an organization, you are thinking of policies, processes, compensation plans, partnership agreements, that type of thing. But the leadership piece is a big piece of our organization that we do help law firms with.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, let me ask you this. If I didn't know what you did and we were stuck in an elevator together for a couple of minutes and I said, Krystal, what do you do? In a nutshell, encapsulate everything that you do for me. Tell me who your ideal clients are. Tell me your best services, what you're really known for. Give me the 411 on RJH Consulting.
So we work with solo and small to mid-sized law firms, helping them increase efficiency and productivity. What that means is that we look at everything from accounting to HR to their systems and processes to their workflow to building their culture and growing their firm.
Gotcha. I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
And you work with small to medium-sized law firms. Is there a cap or a cutoff, or does that just tend to be the people that come to you?
It tends to be the people that come to us, but also, your big AM 500 law firms or AM 100 law firms, they are, there's committees and there's democracy and it's too hard to get change done there. So we tend to stick with our niche.
You work within the space where you can make a difference. That makes a lot of sense. And I get that because I'm a marketer by trade and I work with law firms and other companies as well. And there's that threshold where they become so big, you're just like, oh, this is a nightmare to work with. So I also work generally with small to medium sized law firms as well. So it's kind of funny that we have that overlap there, but I get that 100%.
Love it.
What got you into this business? Did you always know you wanted to do consulting? Did you always know you wanted to run a business? What attracted you to the legal aspect? Where did this all happen?
Justin, I ask myself that every day. My undergraduate is in English literature. And so my mom told me, you love to argue, you should really go work for an attorney outside of college. And I said, no, absolutely not. I hate attorneys. I ended up working in financial services for Edward Jones in New York Life, and then applied as a legal secretary at a local law firm here and just worked my way up. Then I started consulting with personal injury law firms across the nation for about 5 years with them. And then I got the opportunity to acquire RJH. I know that you asked where those initials came from, so I'll go ahead and tell you that if that's okay. Yeah. He was a great referral partner for me. He was a great expert in the legal industry. And so he was sending me business and decided that he was going to go into elder law and quit doing consulting for the solo and small firms and asked if I wanted to purchase his business. Well, in the meantime, while we were trying to work out that deal, he had passed away. And so, I got to acquire his business. I continued on his brand. And if you look on our website, the founder, Robert Henderson, is still listed on there, just continuing on his legacy of what he's built here.
There's Bob right there.
Yeah, there's Bob. Great guy.
That's awesome. So you were good friends with him and you partnered up together and then it just made sense for you to kind of take over when life took its turn.
Yes, he was sending me referral business and it's a blessing and it's been fruitful.
That's awesome. So hard-hitting, very important question, and think long and hard on this one. As an English lit major, what's your favorite book?
It's The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer.
Okay. Is there a particular of the tales? Which one is your favorite?
I love them all. I do.
That's fair. So this is totally off the wall and unrelated to everything. Did you ever see the movie A Knight's Tale, which was that movie with Heath Ledger? I thought that was a hilarious portrayal of Geoffrey Chaucer. So I'm a philosophy and history major, which are, of course, very marketable skills as well. I can ask the deep questions in life, like paper or plastic, or you want fries with that, which is why I got into marketing as well. So it's funny. When I meet a fellow humanities person, I always like to commiserate for at least a few minutes. So, and I was actually a medievalist by trade. So I'm actually a big fan of that whole period. So the Canterbury Tales. I've not actually gone through them in 20 years probably. So my memory on all of them is kind of shoddy at this point, but that's really fun. Anyway, very, very important, hard-hitting questions. Gotta ask the big ones. So let me ask you this. I read one of my sponsors is nationalerc.org. They help people with the pandemic. So obviously I just got through talking about the pandemic. It's something that we all went through. And I talked to a lot of businesses all around the world. And I just find it fascinating to see how people adapted, adjusted, and were affected by the pandemic. So how did the pandemic affect you? How did it affect what you do, how you interface with your clients? How did it affect your clients?
Sure. So we've always been mostly remote anyway, because we work with law firms across the nation and all of our team is scattered across the US. So going into the virtual world wasn't much of a change for us. However, it was for our clients. What we discovered was a lot of law firm owners or managing partners, attorneys wanted to know how to pivot because they didn't know if they were going to continue to get business and what is the next course. So 2020 for us was probably one of our best years, consulting wise, getting new business and really getting out there and getting our brand known. And for attorneys as well, teaching them how to pivot in data mine, what else can they offer services, who can they get referral partners from, and just going back to grassroots marketing was a big deal in 2020 for our clients.
Gotcha. No, it makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of funny because I mean, it's exactly what I'd actually expect because everyone is looking at how do we adjust? How do we adapt? And so when you're in that space, I would imagine that would be a big boon. Again, for those of us who work virtually, I think it was actually overall a net good, but it's always fascinating to see how people adjusted. And you work with law firms all across the country. So you would be dealing with law firms that were dealing with different, state level laws that were affecting how they could operate their business as well. Were there any really unique cases that stand out or anything that was just like, this is such a bizarre thing to have to help them adapt to, but we'll help them adapt to it?
I think across the board, like you said, depending on what jurisdiction they were in or what their local government was doing, the laws were constantly changing. And it seems like they were changing every week or two, so being on top of that and advising them, what to do if someone had COVID, that type of thing, could they be a hybrid office? And, I think the state of California, and California is always in the news for some reason about something. Our clients out in California were probably the most challenging with the rules out there.
That makes sense. It's been really interesting to hear because some people are like, I wasn't affected at all. So you're like, it killed my business. I had one of my clients was an attorney in New York City. And
New York was another one.
Yeah, New York was a big one. And I actually have a couple clients up there, but one of them, he was in a building, his office was in a building that regularly saw, I'm going to biff these numbers. I think it was like 80,000 people a day went through that building on a normal day. And in the height of COVID, the numbers were about 150. So, and he's like, I don't have any business because people aren't, and he was an injury lawyer as well. And he's like, people aren't getting into accidents because nobody's driving, which is a good thing, right? But of course, if your bread and butter, your business is helping people that have been injured, and all of a sudden there's a dearth of people who are being injured, that can definitely affect your business and your bottom line. But I thought that was really interesting just to hear how so many people had such unique experiences of the pandemic.
They did. And just being able to pivot and project out was really, really important in 2020. And I think that those firms that we helped in 2020 are doing, 2, 3 times, 4 times what they were doing then now because they were able to get a strategic plan in place and pivot for it.
Wow, dude, that's impressive growth in a short couple of years. I would lead with that when you're talking with people.
Definitely.
We help law firms.
Is key.
That's awesome. That is one heck of a I guess of a proof of concept, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this: how do people find you? Right? Are you super present online? Do you go to lots of trade shows, or I don't know if law attorneys have trade shows per se, but do you do a lot of networking? Do you BNI? Is it just referral? How do people find you?
So it's a combination of a lot of things. Most of our leads come from our website or referrals from past clients. We do get a lot of work from past clients or current clients, that are in their network. One of the things that we are really big on is not taking a client in the same practice area in the same geographical location, just because we get into marketing and finances and things like that. So we're very picky about the clients that we choose, but they find us from our website. They find us from social media. I am just now getting on TikTok and YouTube and all that. So I thought that's been a fun trend. My 15-year-old has always told me, hey, you need to get on this. I'm like, no, I'm too old for that, right? But it is the new trend. So they find us from various sources.
Gotcha. After this call, maybe you'll send me over your links and I'll put those in the bio as well so people can find you, find you on the gram, find you on the TikToks.
Okay.
I think I'm too old to TikTok. I don't know. That one doesn't, I don't get it. I never liked Twitter though. Twitter was, 144 characters. And I just like, that wasn't enough time to communicate an idea. And so
To
like
say something,
the
right?
micro videos Vine was the thing for a while. And then Twitter had
Right.
was it Periscope or something? And now they've got the, TikTok. I just always felt like I don't know. I personally, it's not even that I don't know what to say. Like I always just felt like I personally don't want to say what I have. It's like speaking in haiku, right? I'd rather soliloquize than speak in haiku, just because I give me more room to talk, I guess. But that's to each their own. I have heard from many successful attorneys who are using that kind of marketing. There's one gal I'm aware of, and I see her stuff all the time. I see it on YouTube. I see it on Facebook. And her name is Erica. I don't even know her last name, but I see her all the time. And she's like, I read the fine print, so you don't have to. And she always gives these silly little scenarios where she's like walking into a Nike store, and it's clearly like your very, very poor green screen background, just what TikTok lets you do or whatever. And she's like, hello, I'd like to return these shoes. And then she plays the girl at the counter, and she's like, oh, well, you bought those almost 2 years ago. And she's like, I know, but I know that the fine print says you have to either, this part's defective or breaking. So you either have to replace them or give me store credit. And she's like, fine. Who told you? Erica, because she reads the fine print. So I don't have to. So I've seen people really doing well with those. And I really commend anybody who's found their niche doing that. So I'd love to jump on your Instagram, your TikTok or whatever, and at least take a look and see what's going on. So I find that,
Well, they
I find it
only have a
fascinating.
couple of videos, and it's Real Talk with Krystal. I'm telling you what's up out there. So beware.
There you go. Well, the next step is start doing the silly green screen stuff. So you'll get there.
Right. Baby steps.
Baby steps. So people find you, they find you oftentimes via referral, et cetera. And they come to you because they have problems that they want you to solve. What does the onboarding process look like for working with you? If somebody says, you know what, you're the company for me, what are the next steps?
Okay, so we start out with a discovery call, and that determines whether or not they want to work with us, or if we can even help them. We don't take on clients that we don't believe that can help, and that really don't want to make a change within their organization, because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to commit to having someone from the outside come in and tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. As far as our onboarding process, we do have certain documents that we request from attorneys. We talk to all of their team members. We kind of get the lay of the land, and just do a general overview assessment. Hey, this is what's going on in the firm. And then we give you a 90-day action plan. The reason why we do 90 days is because if I give you a 3-year action plan or even a year action plan, things come up. Trial comes up, kids get sick, vacations go on, life happens. And then you get close to that year and you're like, okay, we didn't get half of this accomplished. If I can break it down into 90-day increments, especially for attorneys that have so much else going on, or a firm that doesn't have a sustainer within their firm, they're able to chew it a little bit better, right? They're able to say, okay, these are the first steps that we need to get done to get to that end goal, whatever that end goal may be. And every firm's vision is different, right? So that action plan it's custom to them. And then once we get through that action plan, we make another 90-day action plan. We continue working with the clients as long as they need us. The goal for us is that you are self-sustainable and you can manage your firm on your own and you won't need us. Maybe it's a bad business model. I don't know. But
well, there's always new law firms going up. There's always other companies out there as well. I mean, and what do they say? A certain percent of all business. I don't know what the statistic is inside the law, but 50% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. So I'm sure it's the case, give or take with law firms as well. So they always need help. There's always someone out there that's
and they always call us back. I have this new issue. Can you help me with that? So it's a pretty neat little program.
Oh, I can imagine. And again, you guys have helped over 250 firms in over 25 years. And that's impressive. That's a lot of law firms that you guys have been responsible for driving behind being one of the driving forces in their growth. And I'm sure if you were to calculate how much money you've made for all of those different law firms, you've probably, you've helped them earn billions of dollars. I don't know if you've ever done the metrics on that, but that would be an interesting number to find out if you could figure out where they were when they got started and where they are today, because I'm sure it's at least a large part due to the systems you helped them put in place. Obviously, based on their ability to do their job well too, to be sure. But I'm sure that would be a fascinating metric to look
I'm
at.
going to go back and do some research on that, but I can just tell you offhand right now, it's in the billions, especially with your PI firms, your mass tort firms, those are the big ticket ones, your business litigation, just increasing their profitability there is tenfold.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I talk with and I see PI lawyers all the time. It's always,
Yeah.
billions, and so a couple of those would put you into that market, into that
Correct.
stratosphere so quickly. So that
Yes.
is that's fascinating. Anyway, sorry, just kind of pondering as we're
That was
talking.
a great question. I love that question.
Well, you're welcome, free of charge. So let me guess, how do you approach then problem solving for your clients? I mean, it really is just on a case by case basis. Do you tend to work with, if they have HR or they don't have HR, if they have, a manager? I mean, I'm guessing everything is just hyper personalized to the law firm and their growth plan.
Yes. So we are boutique consulting. We are not a plug and play system. I'm not going to, of course, there's best industry practices, right? We keep up with what's going on in the industry, what the current trends are, what case management systems you should be using, that type of thing. But every firm's vision is different, and how we get there is different. So, me putting a plug and play system of something that worked in Savannah, Georgia, is not going to work in Los Angeles, California. And it really depends on the firm goals as well, so we create those custom plans based on where it is that they want to go. Now, some things do overlap, of course, because it is industry practices, or this is how you're supposed to do intake, or this is how you are handling client calls, or, this is a key performance indicator that you should be tracking for general business purposes, that type of thing. But for the most part, we do boutique consulting.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. So how do you stay up to date on the various trends that are going on? How do you stay up to date on industry best practices? I mean, it has to be so many different evolving fields all at the same time.
Yeah.
How do you keep that straight?
So I probably get, no lie, about 100 emails a day from different vendors or associations or whatever that are putting on free webinars or whatever. I follow a lot of things on social media channels. I don't have time to read them all, but my assistant does, and she summarizes them all for us. Our consultants are also required to attend so many conferences or webinars per year to ensure that they are staying on top of the current trends as well.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that makes sense, and it's a pretty straightforward answer, I guess. What would you say? What would you say is probably your biggest tip or set of tips that you could give a business, whether they work with you or not, to help them build a high performance culture within their firm, their industry?
So become a leader within your organization. Don't be a micromanager. Don't be someone who wants to know how many notes they put in their case management system every day, or how they spent their time, that type of thing. Really trust your team, empower them to do the job, hire top talent, and just let them go. I am a firm believer of hiring someone that's smarter than you, because that's going to get you to that next level of growth. So whether it is a paralegal or an attorney, or someone who can act as your sustainer, or even your intake receptionist personnel, hire someone that has the capability to do that job and continue moving forward within it. Leadership is a big thing right now in law firms. We have a culture, a workforce culture coming in that the older generation doesn't know how to manage. We're moving from a traditional atmosphere to a more progressive atmosphere. And I think that's been a challenge for a lot of managers and leaders currently.
Gotcha. How do you feel about the new workforce? How do you feel about, we don't need to put down any particular age group, millennials seem to pose very unique challenges to the
Right.
traditional workforce. Are you finding that there's a lot of friction there? Or are you finding there's some unique opportunities, unique challenges? How does that play out?
I think there's both unique challenges and opportunities. I think if you are able to manage them properly and provide their needs, we're humans. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it goes back to the workforce as well. So if you're able to provide that for them, whether it's work-life balance or, team building exercises, making them feel like their voice is heard, that type of thing, you can still run a pretty traditional law firm with those culture aspects put into it. So, I think there's great opportunity because that is the next generation, right? Those are the people that are going to be running law firms later on. Those are the people that are going to be handling maybe your personal injury case or your estate planning in the future. So I think it's really, really important to pay attention of how to not really cater to them, but to ingrain them into what you're currently doing in your firm.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So what do you think the future of consulting looks like? What do you think the next 5 or 10 years looks like as we hopefully get out of the pandemic phase entirely? It sounds like the WHO and some of the CDCs, whatever, have said that they think the pandemic is over, emergency powers are going away. So hopefully everything is going to theoretically go back to normal before it was, although I'm sure some things never change. What do you think is going to happen in your industry and in the legal industry?
So I just had a consultant come back from the Association of Legal Administrators Conference, ALA, out in Seattle. And the buzzwords there were leadership development. It was leadership strategies, and not just taking a course to say, okay, this is how you manage this particular group or this particular personality style or whatever, but really, how do you manage the entire firm in a way that brings you guys to the next level? I think that is where people are more focused to, and even the solo and small practitioners, they need that skill set to be able to put those systems and policies in place and get people to do what they need to do to be able to track KPIs, to be able to grow their firm and hire more staff and take care of the marketing aspect of it. And it all goes together. It's just a piece of the pie.
Gotcha. It'll be interesting to see, what the future holds for everybody. But I think it sounds like you got a great organization. It sounds like everyone that's working with you probably gonna have a pretty good future. To that end, though, let me ask you this: I'm sure in your line of work, you've had a number of successes and a number of failures. I'm a firm believer, of course, that failure, as long as you learn from it, is really a slow burn win. Obviously, it sucks in the moment. Can you let our listeners, Krystal, know about maybe a time in your practice of coaching and consulting where you or a client experienced something you consider a failure or a setback, or something didn't jive right, or whatever it happened to be? But what did you learn from that, and how do you carry that forward to help all of your clients in the future?
Sure. So I think one of our failures from the very beginning was taking every client, right? Taking clients that weren't really fits for us, or taking clients that were just energy drains. And I'm not talking bad about anyone or anything like that. It's just, you have a certain type of personality that you mesh with. And so really dialing down into what our mission was and what our core values are helped us determine, okay, this is a client that we would take, or this is our ideal type of client, And so when we got those calls that just weren't a fit, we were able to send them over to other consultants that may be a better fit for them. The other thing I think was a failure for us was trying to do everything for everyone and not really specializing in one thing. So we dialed down on what are the services that we do offer for our clients, and really have a pathway to help them.
Gotcha. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. And I find for me, it's almost the same thing. I in my regular line of work, I'm very cautious about the people I work with anymore, because I'm married, I've got 5 kids, and I don't have time to deal with upset clients and people that are always wanting more, and or just are never happy with anything it turns out. So I'm 100% on board with that. Well, let me ask you the flip side of that question, though. What's one of your biggest successes? What's the feather in your cap? The thing that when you think about it, like, man, we really knocked that one out of the park. What's one or two of those?
I think really knocking it out of the park is seeing our client success. Our success is their success. If they are not succeeding, they are not reaching their goals, whether it's revenue driven or more subjective driven, that it has been a success for us. I think our team rallies around making sure that our attorneys are reaching their goals and making changes within their organization. So when we see that, we consider that a success. We check in with our clients we have actually somebody who checks in with our clients every couple months to make sure that we are on pace and they are getting the services that they are expecting from us. So I think that was a big game changer for us as well.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And I'm sure you've got that 90-day like refresh period and everything
Yes.
else too. So there's always a way to kind of keep on top of that. That makes sense.
Right.
What's when people come to you, what do you think is one of the biggest myths or misconceptions they have about working with you and how it's going to go?
That we are going to roll up our sleeves and do everything. I'm not there. I don't know the ins and outs. So, hiring a consultant to do everything for you that never works. You don't learn from that process. So, and the reason why I think that we do it differently from other consultants is that some of the things we do roll up our sleeves on, but for the most part, we become a part of your team. We're teaching your team, we're leading your team, we're leading you to be able to do this on your own. So eventually you won't need us.
Gotcha. No, that makes good sense. I like that. Well, Krystal, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And I hope that our listeners are enjoying this conversation. If you run a law firm, I think working with Krystal and her firm seems like it would be a really wise investment of your time to really help you grow your firm. Here in a minute, I'm going to ask you one final question. And that question is simply this, so you can ponder it for a minute. If you could go back in time and meet a young Krystal, maybe fresh out of school with her English Lit degree, or maybe your first year or so in business, what advice would you give yourself and why, other than the obvious, which of course is trust me, buy a lot of Bitcoin, hold it till 60K or whatever, right? Outside of that, what advice would you give yourself and why? While you're pondering that, let's jump back over and take a look at your website again. This is RJH Consulting. I am speaking with Krystal, who is the owner and CEO of RJH Consulting, rjhconsulting.com, link at the top of the description down below. You can also reach them online, 225 or by phone, 225-414-3930. They do have a free consultation button as well. So absolutely worth your time. Come in here and fill out the 6 little boxes that they've got here in the farm here and start the ball rolling, because you have nothing to lose, but the profitability that you're never going to see if you don't fix the problems in your organization that are there. So I've really enjoyed this. We're going to jump over really quickly and read from our final sponsor. That final sponsor is Rank with News. If there was a guaranteed way to get your law firm or business featured in major national publications like Yahoo News, Forbes, Bloomberg, and others, and to see those articles rank locally, nationally, sometimes in under 8 hours for major competitive keywords that people were looking for, what else would you need to know? Rank with News is simply the most powerful way to hit page 1 in under 2 weeks safely, organically, and permanently. This is essentially guaranteed SEO or search engine optimization, and it's on steroids, ranking quickly and sticking sometimes indefinitely and bringing your website along with it. Visit rankwith.news or rankwithnews.com to learn more and book a time to speak with a specialist about featuring your firm or your business in major national 8-figure traffic sites that can help launch you to page 1 in a matter of hours and help you dominate your local marketplace. Visit rankwithnews.com or rankwith.news. All right, so Krystal, we are able to magically go back in time, and you see a young Krystal, and you're able to give her some advice as she is pursuing working in this line of work, working in this field. What advice would you give yourself, and why?
Justin, I think the advice that I would give myself is to find mentors in different industries. Business is business, right? So if you're working in the legal field or you're working in the engineering field or financial services, whatever, find a mentor, find a couple of them that can just help you through that growth aspect. And put your ego at the door. You're young, you're still learning. There are people out there that are willing to help you. And I think you need to take advantage of that help. I really do. That's one thing I wish I would have done more of in my past or my younger years.
Makes a lot of sense. Looking for leaders. And that's kind of what you do now professionally.
Yes, ironically it is.
So you would have put yourself on the right path one way or the other. Sounds like it all would have worked out just fine.
It's destiny.
Well, Krystal, thank you very much for talking with us today. I really did enjoy the conversation. I do like to let my guests have the final word. Is there any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
No, if you have any questions and you just want to bounce ideas around, definitely reach out to us. We give free discovery calls. Not trying to sell you something that you don't need, but we are definitely here to help.
Awesome. Well, Krystal, thank you very much for taking time to talk with us today. This is Justin West with Local Leader TV. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, we appreciate a like, a subscribe, a share, a comment down below. If you know a business, particularly a law firm that could use Krystal services, please feel free to share this with them as well. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast repositories as well, feel free to rate us, like us, comment, whatever it is they allow you to do on any of those podcasts. We're everywhere. We're on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Audible, all places in between. So until next time, this is Justin West signing off. Thank you guys very much for joining us today, and stay classy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Justin.
Absolutely. My pleasure.